you guys know Jesus? Big JC. I don't know, are you guys familiar with the story of when he goes to the desert and is tempted by the devil? Well, for those of you who don't know, he goes out to the desert. Devil tempts him 3 times. First time, devil says to him, "You're hungry, aren't you? There's a rock. Why don't you use your Jesus powers and just change it into bread?" And Jesus says no. Second time, devil takes him to the top of the biggest temple in the entire land, and he says, "Hey, Jesus, why don't you jump off of it? The angels will catch you." Jesus says no. Third one, Jesus is transported by the devil to the top of the biggest mountain in the world. And the devil says, "Do you want the world? Fall down on your knees and bow to me, and I'll give it all to you." Ugh, right? Jesus says no. Then after all this, Jesus is rewarded, and multitudes of angels come to him, and they hug him, and they feed him finally after his days of fasting. They're giving him high fives, Manny Petties and shit. And I'd like to think, what are they talking about? Are the angels just "So, Jesus, how was your trip to the wilderness with the devil?" It was awful. He was all over me. Okay? I mean, don't get me wrong, we had moments. One time he offered me some bread, but then he told me I had to conjure it up. And I was like, hello, bread? It's winter, that's way too many carbs. That's 33 points. Get with it. So bad. Did you just starve, Jesus? Yeah, I starved. It felt it must have been 40 days. Oh. So then what happened, Jesus? Well, he took me to the top of the temple, and it was beautiful, and the sun was going down, and God, we could see the entire Israeli skyline, and it was glorious. So then what happened? He told me to jump off. What? Jump right off. Lucifer, he is such a prick, Jesus. I know. But you know Lucifer always got one more ready for you. So what do you do next, Jesus? He took me to the top of a mountain. Shut up, Jesus! Get out! Oh my, you! To the top of Mount Sinai? Yes, and it was wonderful. The stars were shining, and we could see everything, and it was just so glorious. We had some wine that I had drawn up from a nearby creek, and everything felt so amazing. Yeah, so then what happened? Get this! He told me, "Fall down on your knees!" And I was like, devil, you get away from me. He is such a prick, Jesus. You do not see him again. Look, guys, you don't understand him the way that I understand him. He's really deep down. Remember, guys, I'm kind of the jerk. I'm the one that sent him to the lake of fire for the rest of eternity. Come on, guys. I mean, really, all these stories that I'm telling you guys about him, they're a little over-exaggerated. Speaking of Jesus and bad transitions, there's a Mexican restaurant in my hometown. And this place is called El Rancherito, right? And as is custom, you pay at the cashier's desk, and at the cashier's desk there's a jar. And the jar says, "Have some sense." Sense is spelled C-E-N-T-S. "Have some sense. Donate a quarter to breast cancer research." And there's some quarters in there, and some nickels and stuff. And then next to it is another jar that says, "Laffy Taffy, 25 cents. And quarters are spilling over it. Tink, 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 just you could not add another quarter. And it was at this moment that I realized this was it for modern society. This is where it all ended. In a kick-ass town in southern Illinois, at a Mexican restaurant that serves macaroni and cheese for some reason. This was the end of society. Because to me, going for the Laffy Taffy jar, imagine with me if you're in the 1920s and economic times are booming, and you're walking down the streets and think you're feeling good, and you see this little boy. This little boy says, "Please, sir, please, could you give me a single farthing? It's all I need." And you're just like, well, there's no depression ahead, so sure, I'll give you a farthing. And just just as you're about to dip it in his little empty bowl of nothingness, just as you're about to do this, all of a sudden he gets kicked out of the way by a guy. It's just like, boom! Laffy Taffy! Who wants some Laffy Taffy? Have you got